So I sent out the readings this week. Iris said she got them, but she didn't have a chance to read. Did you have a
Same.
chance to look at them, Terry?
No, I didn't either. We were together this afternoon. Iris and I got her. We were in a girlfriend's. We were sitting under cherry trees in a person's garden.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
it was so nice. And just before the rain, we were lucky.
Yeah, that's it. We went out for lunch and then to Cavendish Mall, and it rained while we were inside.
Oh, goodness.
But um, for me, the best thing for us to do as we're reading these stories is
Yes.
to kind of step back and say, okay, if this happened today, maybe without the the way it happened, but the principle of it, because that's the best thing for us to learn how to do is to draw the principles from the Torah to make them real for us today, so that because the Torah is alive. It's a living book of principles that God gave us. And it teaches us how to love God and love our neighbor as ourselves. So this story, some parts I'll probably skip over because they they involve some deeper study than right now that I want to go into. I want to keep it really, really
Okay.
simple.
Okay.
So the portion starts in the book of Numbers, in at chapter 16. So it begins with Korach. Now Korach was the son of Itzchar, the son of Kohat, the son of Levi. Remember, Levi is the third son of Jacob. Jacob had 12 sons. So and then Datan and Abiram, the sons of Eliav, and On, the son of Peleth. All of them were sons of Reuben. Datan, Abiram, Eliav, On were sons of Reuben. Reuben was Jacob's firstborn. So we have the firstborn here, and we have the thirdborn here. So we just started, Iris. We're starting at the book of Numbers. And we're looking at, it's called, the portion is actually called Korach. So we're going to look at it from the perspective of how do we learn from what these men did. So it says Korach, who was a son of Levi, who was, as I said, the third son of Jacob. Abiram, Datan and Abiram, sons of Eliav, and On, the son of Peleth. These were sons of Reuben, who was the first son. Usually, the first son would receive the main inheritance. But it wasn't always the case in the scriptures, because you'll see many cases where it was not. Anyway, they rose up in the face of Moses with certain of the children of Israel, 250 men. They were princes of the congregation, the elect men of the assembly, men of renown. So these were the machers of the community. And they assembled themselves together against Moses and Aaron. Let me read it from here, because this is a little easier to understand. It's the language is easier. Can you see it
Yes.
clearly? Okay. So they rose up against Moses and Aaron and said to them, "You have gone too far. For all the community are holy, all of them." And here it says Yud He Vav He, which we don't know how to pronounce because it was lost over time. And the rabbis have said we're not allowed to pronounce it, but in the Torah it doesn't say that. Some people say Yahweh, some people say Jehovah, some we don't know, but the rabbis have changed it to Adonai. So Yud He Vav He is in their midst. Why then do you raise yourself above the Lord's congregation? So here, these men, Korach, Datan and Abiram, and we go back to who they were, On, descendants of Reuben. When Moses heard this, he fell on his face. Then he spoke to Korach and all his company, saying, "In the morning, God, Adonai, will make known who is his, who is God's, and who is holy, by granting direct access. The one whom God has chosen will be granted access. Do this, you, Korach, and all the men who are with you, those who are rebelling. Take your fire pans. This is what they did when they were bringing offerings to the altar. And tomorrow, put fire in them and lay incense on them before the Lord. Then the one whom the Lord chooses, he shall be the Holy One. You have gone too far, sons of Levi. Moses said to Korach, hear me, listen to me, sons of Levi. Is it not enough for you that the God of Israel has set you apart from the community of Israel and given you direct access to perform the duties of God's tabernacle, which is the Mishkan, and to minister to the community and serve them? Isn't it enough that God gave you a certain role? Now that God has advanced you and all your fellow Levites with you, do you seek the priesthood too? So these men, truly it is against the Lord that you and all your company have banded together. For here it says, who is Aaron that you shall rail against him? But really, it says, Mahu. What is he? What is he such a big deal that you should get upset? Hi, Jerry. We just began 5 minutes ago, so you didn't miss much. How you doing? Can you hear me, Jer? Jerry, can you hear? Hello? Anyway. Jerry? Jerry, can you hear? It looks like he can't hear.
Exactly.
I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so, and here he says, is it not enough that you brought us? Now here are the men who are rebelling against Moses and Aaron. Listen to what they're saying. Is it not enough that you brought us from a land flowing with milk and honey, to have us die in the wilderness, that you would also lord it over us? So where did Moses bring our people from? Anybody?
Egypt.
Was Egypt a land flowing of milk and honey?
No. Well, leeks and garlic.
Leeks and garlic. But what was the land flowing with milk and honey? Israel. And here they're saying, isn't it, you brought us from the land flowing with milk? You can see how they use scripture to just twist the facts. I want to make sure Jerry can hear me. Jerry, are you there? It's very strange.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But yet we see him.
Unless he's watching something else at the same time. Sometimes he's doing that. Even if you had brought us to a land flowing with milk and honey, and given us possession of fields and vineyards, should you gouge out the eyes of those involved? We will not come. Now that is talking about, let me see, where was it? Here. Gouge out the eyes was punishment for runaway slaves or vassals. And we see that in 2 Kings and in Jeremiah 39 and 52. Those men, okay. And they refused to come. Moses was so upset. He said to the Lord, pay no attention to their offerings. I have not taken a donkey from any of them, nor have I wronged any one of them. And Moses said to Korach, tomorrow you and all your company appear before the Lord, you, they, and Aaron. And each of you take your pans, lay incense upon it, and each of you bring that pan before the Lord. 250 fire pans. You and Aaron bring your fire pans. Imagine if you have somebody and you're trying to do a good job and 250 men come against you. How are you going to feel? They each took their fire pan, put fire in it, laid incense on it, and took a place at the entrance of the tent of meeting, as Moses and Aaron did. And Korach gathered the whole community against them at the entrance of the tent of meeting. And then look what happens. The presence of the Lord appeared to the whole community. Imagine if that happened today. If we're all sitting in shul and something happened in the synagogue and the presence of the Lord appeared. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron saying, stand back from this community because I'm going to annihilate them in 1 minute. But they fell. You would think that Moses and Aaron would say, good, get rid of them because of what they did to us. But they fell on their faces and said, O God, source of the breath of all flesh, when one person, one member of your community sins, will you be angry with the whole community? And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the community and say, get away from the houses of Korach, Datan, and Abiram. And Moses rose and went to Datan, Abiram, the elders of Israel, following him. And he addressed the community, saying, move away from the tents of these wicked men, and touch nothing that belongs to them, lest you be wiped out for their sins. So they withdrew from the abodes of Korach, Datan, and Abiram. Now Datan and Abiram had come out, and they stood at the entrance of their tents with their wives and their adult children and their little ones. And Moses said, by this you will know that it was the Lord who sent me to do all these things, that they are not of my own devising. You see, so many people, I remember having a conversation with a rabbi one day, and I talked to him about the 10 Commandments and how God had given Moses the 10 Commandments. And basically he says, how could you believe such a thing? Moses was a wise man, and he went up and he wrote it down. But it says here, by this you shall know that it was the Lord who sent me to do these things, and they are not of my own devising. God sent Moses. He didn't send himself. If this people's death is that of all humankind, if their lot is humankind's common fate, it was not the Lord who sent me. But if the Lord brings about something unheard of, so that the ground opens its mouth and swallows them up with all that belongs to them, and they go down alive into Sheol, you shall know that those involved have spurned the Lord. Would you like to read, Terry?
Yes, of course I can. Scarcely had he finished speaking all those words when the ground under them burst asunder, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up with their households, all Korah's people and all their possessions. They went down alive into Sheol. With all that belonged to them, the earth closed over them, and they vanished from the midst of the congregation. All Israel around them fled at their shrieks, for they said, the earth might swallow us. And a fire went forth from the Lord and consumed the 250 contestants offering the incense.
Can you imagine? You could say that again. It's really a frightening thing. And if we go to, I just want to go here to Numbers 20, where was it? I think it was Numbers 26. Yeah, in Numbers 26, they're taking a census of the people. So it looks like all the people of Israel from those families had been killed. But it says, these are the families of the Reubenites. They were numbered 43,730, sons of Palu, Eliab. Remember, he was one of those who rebelled. And Nemuel, Datan, and Abiram. These are the Dathan and Abiram, the elect of the congregation, who strove against Moses and against Aaron when they strove against the Lord. And the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them up together with Korach when that company died. At that time the fire devoured 250 men, and they became a sign. But the sons of Korach did not die. Because I was wondering, because when you read the Psalms, it says some of the Psalms were written by the sons of Korach. But we wouldn't have known how that happened unless we go back to what it says here. Jerry, do you want to do a little reading? Jerry, hello? Are you there? Okay. Anyway. So the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Order Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, to remove the fire pans, for they have become sacred, from among the charred remains, and scatter the coals abroad. Remove the fire pans from those who have sinned at the cost of their lives, and let them be made into hammered sheets as plating for the altar. For once they've been used for an offering to the Lord, they have become sacred, and let them serve as a warning to the people of Israel. So Eleazar the priest took the copper fire pans, which had been used for the offerings by those who died in the fire, and they were hammered into plating for the altar, as the Lord had ordered him through Moses. It was to be a reminder to the Israelites, so that no outsider, not one of Aaron's offspring, should presume to offer incense before the Lord and suffer the fate of Korach and his band. The next day, the whole Israelite community, after all this, you would think that they would learn. Read what it says, Terry.
Yeah. Next day, the whole Israelite community railed against Moses and Aaron, saying, You two have brought death upon the Lord's people.
Can you imagine?
I know. They didn't understand. But as the community gathered against them, Moses and Aaron turned toward the tent of meeting. The cloud had covered it, and the presence of the Lord appeared. When Moses and Aaron reached the tent of meeting, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Remove yourselves from this community, that I may annihilate them in an instant. They fell on their faces. Then Moses said to Aaron, Take the fire pans and put on it fire from the altar, and add incense, and take it quickly to the community, and make expiation for them. For wrath has gone forth from the Lord, the plague has begun. Aaron took it, as Moses had ordered, and ran to the midst of the congregation, where the plague had begun among the people. He put on the incense and made expiation for the people. He stood between the dead and the living until the plague was checked. Those who died of the plague came to 14,700, aside from those who died on account of Korah. Aaron then returned to Moses at the entrance of the tent of meeting, since the plague was checked. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the Israelite people and take from them, from the chieftains and of their ancestral houses.
It's really from their tribe.
Yes, one of the staff for each chieftain of an ancestral house, 12 staffs in all. Inscribe each one's name on his staff.
Yes.
There being one staff for each head of an ancestral house, also inscribe Aaron's name on the staff of Levi.
So here we see that after all these men, the earth had swallowed them up. Then the next step we see is that they're still blaming Moses and Aaron for the people who are rebelling against them. And then God was so upset he wanted to kill them all. And a plague hit, like the COVID, hit. and people were dying. And then Moses and Aaron started praying, and he stepped in, and the plague stopped. But then God has to show them something else. So now he's telling them all to take a staff and put the name of each of the tribes on the staff. Now he's telling them, okay, they all have their names on them. Go ahead.
Yeah, deposit them in the tent of meeting before the pact, where I meet with you. The staff of the candidate whom I choose shall sprout, and I will rid myself of the incessant mutterings of the Israelites against you.
So you see here, there are 12, it says, of the tribes. The candidate is the person whom he's going to choose. And he is going to, he's going to do something. He said, the one that will sprout. There's sticks, like when you go and you pick up a stick in the woods. And here, this is what happened next.
Okay, Moses spoke thus to the Israelites. Their chieftains gave him a staff for each chieftain of the ancestral house, 12 staffs in all. Among these staffs was that of Aaron. Moses deposited the staffs before the Lord in the tent of the pact. The next day Moses entered the tent of the pact, and there the staff of Aaron and the house of Levi had sprouted. It had brought forth sprouts, produced blossoms, and borne almonds.
Exactly. This was Aaron's. God was showing. This was just a stick. And all of a sudden it had sprouts and produced blossoms and had almonds.
Moses then brought out all the staffs from the Lord to all the Israelites. Each identified and recovered his staff. The Lord said to Moses, put Aaron's staff back before the pact to be kept as a lesson to rebels, so that their mutterings against me may cease, lest they die. This Moses did, just as the Lord had commanded him, so he did. But the Israelites said to Moses, lo, we perish. We are lost, all of us lost.
Imagine, instead of saying, wow, look at this miracle. Look at the one that Moses chose. And almonds coming from a stick? Instead, oi, we're going to die. We're all lost. I mean, honestly, when God calls us stiff-necked people, we are stubborn, even to this very day.
Yes, we are. Everyone who so much as ventures near the Lord tabernacle must die. Alas, we are doomed to perish. And the Lord said to Aaron, you and your sons and the ancestral house under your charge shall bear any guilt connected with the sanctuary. You and your sons alone shall bear any guilt connected with your priesthood. You shall also associate with yourself your kinsmen, the tribe of Levi, your ancestral tribe, to be attached to you and to minister to you, while you and your sons under your charge are before the tent of the pact. They shall discharge their duties to you and to the tent as a whole, but they must not have any contact with the furnishings of the shrine or with the altar, lest they and you die.
So I want to this is important. I mean, it's easy to just pass it over and not when you haven't seen the scriptures as a whole. God was very clearly giving each one a role. Every human being is equal, but we have different responsibilities. And God has given us different gifts so that we can discharge the responsibilities. Here, he was giving the Levites, the tribe of Levi, certain duties that they had to do in the tent, which is the Mishkan, but they must not have any contact with the furnishings of the shrine is the Mishkan, the Holy of Holies, the inner part of or with the altar, lest both they and you die. So I just want to take us to this. Let me just find it here. Let's go to, hold on a second here. Wait a minute. We move down here. Because this is this happens much later on, and the Ark of the Covenant in 2 Samuel 6. Okay, here is King David. He's gathered together with all the chosen men of Israel, 30,000. And David arose and went with all the people that were with them from Baalei Yehudah to bring up from there the ark of God. Now they would go everywhere with the ark, and it had carried the 10 Commandments, and it carried Aaron's rod that had budded. Whereupon is called the name, even the name of the Lord of hosts, who sit upon the cherubim. Okay? And they set the ark of God upon a new cart, and they brought it out of the house of Abinadab that was in the hill, and Uzzah and Ahio, the sons of Abinadab, drove this new cart. And they brought it out of the house of Abinadab, which was in the hill, with the ark of God. And Ahio went before the ark. Here they're bringing it back to Jerusalem. And David and all the house of Israel were playing before the Lord with all manner of instruments made of cypress wood, with harps, with psalteries, with timbrels, with sistra and cymbals. But when they came to the threshing floor of Nakon, Uzzah put forth his hand to the ark of God and took hold of it, because the oxen had stumbled and the ark was going to fall over. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Uzzah, and God killed him for touching it. And he died by the ark of God. And David was upset because the Lord had broken forth upon Uzzah. And that place was called Peretz Uzzah unto this day. And David was afraid of the Lord that day. And he said, "How shall the ark of the Lord come to me?" So David would not move the ark of the Lord unto him into the city of David, but David carried it aside into the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite. And the ark of the Lord remained in the house, and these were not Jews, but the ark remained there for 3 months, and the Lord blessed Obed-Edom and all his house. And later they came back and got it, but they got it with the proper people. Not anybody could touch the ark. It was set apart for certain people. And here it's like they're saying to Levite, these people had to discharge their duties, but they must not have contact with any of the furnishings that's within the Holy of Holies, which was where the ark was, or they would die. And King David knew that. And he was upset because he allowed his friend Uzzah to touch it when he knew what he had to do. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. They shall be attached to you and discharge the duties of the tent of meeting, all the surface of the tent, but no outsider shall intrude upon you. As you discharge the duties connected with the shrine and the altar, that wrath may not again strike the Israelites. I hereby take your fellow Levites from among the Israelites. They are assigned to you in dedication to the Lord to do the work of the tent of meetings. While you and your sons shall be careful to perform your priestly duties in everything pertaining to the altar and to what is behind the curtain. I make your priesthood a service of dedication. Any outsider who encroaches shall be put to death. The Lord spoke further to Aaron, I shall give you charge of my gifts. All the sacred donations of the Israelites, I grant them to you and to your sons as a perquisite.
Perquisite is a due for all time. It's like a tithe.
Okay. For all time, yes. This shall be yours from the most holy sacrifices, the offerings by fire. Every such offering that they render to me as most holy sacrifices, namely every meal offering, sin offering, and guilt offering of theirs, shall belong to you and your sons. You shall partake of them as most sacred donations. Only males may eat them. You shall treat them as consecrated. This too shall be yours, the gift offerings of their contributions, all the elevation offerings of the Israelites. I give to you and your wives, to your sons, to the daughters that are with you, as a due for all time. Every one of your household who is pure may eat it. All the best of the new oil, wine, and grain, the choice parts that they present to the Lord, I give to you. The first fruits of everything in their land, as they bring to the Lord, shall be yours. Every one of your household who is pure may eat them. Everything that has been proscribed in Israel shall be yours. The first male issue of the womb of every being, human or beast, that is offered to the Lord shall be yours. But you shall have the male firstborn of human beings redeemed, and you shall also have the firstling of impure animals redeemed. Take as their redemption price from the age of 1 month up the money equivalent of 5 shekels by the sanctuary weight, which is 20 gerahs. But the firstlings of cattle, sheep, or goats may not be redeemed. They are consecrated. You shall dash their blood against the altar and turn their fat into smoke as an offering by fire for a pleasing odor to the Lord. But their meat shall be yours. It shall be yours like the breast of elevation offering and like the right thigh. All the sacred gifts that the Israelites set aside for the Lord I give to you, to your sons, and to the daughters that are with you, as a due for all time. It shall be an everlasting covenant of salt before the Lord for you and for your offsprings as well. For your offspring as well. And the Lord said to Aaron, you shall, however, have no territorial share among them, or own any portion in their midst. I am your portion and your share among the Israelites.
That's really important. I am, you see, we were all called to be priests to God. Our whole community of Israel, we're called. He says, I shall make you a kingdom of priests. I am your portion and your share among the Israelites.
And to the Levites, I hereby give all the tithes in Israel as their share in return for the service that they perform, the service of the tent of meeting.
The tithes are the tenth of whatever we earn. We give a tithe. We were to give a tithe to the bring to the temple so that they would be taken care of.
Henceforth, the Israelites shall not trespass on the tent of meeting and thus incur guilt and die. Only Levites shall perform the service of the tent of meeting. Others would incur guilt. It is the law for all time throughout the ages, but they shall have no territorial share among the Israelites. For it is the tithe set aside by the Israelites as a gift to the Lord that I give to the Levites as their share. Therefore I have said concerning them, they shall have no territorial share among the Israelites. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the Levites and say to them, when you receive the Israelites their tithes, which I have assigned to you as your share, you shall set aside from them 1/10 of the tithe as a gift to the Lord. This shall be accounted to you as your gift, as with the new grain from the threshing floor of the flow from the vat. So shall you on your part set aside a gift for the Lord from all the tithes that you receive from the Israelites, and from them you shall bring the gift for the Lord to Aaron the priest. You shall set aside all gifts due to the Lord from everything that is donated to you, from each thing its best portion, the part thereof that is to be consecrated. Say to them further, when you have removed the best part from it, you Levites may consider it the same as the yield of threshing floor or vat. You and your household may eat it anywhere, for it is your recompense for the services of the tent of meeting. You will incur no guilt through it once you have removed the best part from it, but you must not profane the sacred donation of the Israelites, lest you die.
So here we see that God is setting up this idea of tithing. The tithing is very observed in churches today. People who become a member of a church, they learn to give a tenth of their income. In synagogues, they have a membership. They don't do that. I'm not sure, to tell you the truth, how it works in many synagogues. In our synagogue, people tithe. And here, if you look at what it says in the prophet Malachi, I remember the first time I read this. It struck me so strongly. For I, the Lord, do not change, and you, sons of Jacob, are not consumed. From the days of your father, you have turned aside from my ordinances, and have not kept them. Return to me, and I will return to you, says the Lord of hosts. But you say, how? How shall we return? Will a man rob God? Yet you rob me. But you say, how have we robbed you? In tithes and offerings. You are cursed with a curse, yet you rob me, even this whole nation. Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. And test me now, says the Lord of hosts, and see if I will not open for you the windows of heaven, and pour out a blessing, that there shall be more than sufficiency. And I will rebuke the devourer for your good, and he shall not destroy the fruit of your land, neither shall your vine cast its fruit before the time in the field, says the Lord. And all the nations shall call you happy, for you shall be a delightful land, says the Lord of hosts. So there is so much in this small portion. But what do you think is the resounding idea of Korach? Iris, Terry, Jerry, Miriam? I wanted.
I think it's many things, but a lot has to do maybe with a kind of self-righteousness that makes you think you owe a certain amount, or you have to do certain things, and not allowing yourself to be humble in the true way of humility that God has given us, things that we're meant to do in life. And when you start to want to bring attention to yourself, whether you realize it or not, by doing things that God doesn't even expect you to do, that's really wrong.
Exactly.
It's about obedience to God, and to a God who's a loving God, but it's obedience to what He has for us in this life.
Anyone else? Jerry, can you hear?
Yeah, I heard you. So I'm not sure where you're going, but I'll give a thought that I have on Korach.
Okay.
It's always when there's a self-appointed leader, seemingly Moses was not self-appointed, but to the people who were not there between Moses and Hashem, they don't necessarily were aware what was happening. So one always would say, well, why should you be the leader? And there is a fight. We should know. I don't want to mention those dictators' names, but all those dictators from the wars, they had to kill all the people who wanted to take their position. Too bad. Maybe some of them didn't take their position. You have kings. You have two brothers in the kings in the olden days. You had to kill the other brother because the rabble rousers in that group would want to get this guy to take over. Everyone's always trying to be the leader, and who says to you're to be the leader? So that being said, what was the question again, or just being more specific? Maybe I'll answer that more specifically.
No, it was good because, when we step back and take a look at a bigger picture, the Torah is giving us pictures. It took place 4,000 years ago, but and obviously we don't live in those times. But there's no more temple. There's no, the whole way we see humanity has changed, but the principles still remain the same today. And one of the things that we've learned, and I want to share the screen one more time. One of the things that we do in our congregation is every Shabbat, we have reinstated the 10 Commandments so that we see what Moses came down Mount Sinai and what was in the Ark of the Covenant. And everything else in the Torah and in the rest of the Bible are all related to these. These are the soul. These are the foundation. These are the constitution for our people. And we were to take them to all the nations. So if you look at all the commandments, the first 3 were called the mitzvot. They had to do with who our God is. God spoke these words, I am the Lord your God. I brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. The second commandment, he's saying, don't make any statues, no images. Don't make any manner, don't bow down to them, don't serve them. Then he says here, let me just make this a little bigger. Hold on a second. View, zoom, 200 here. Okay. The third commandment, don't take his name in vain. God won't hold him. In other words, don't put words in his mouth that he never said. The fourth commandment, remember the Shabbat. Keep it holy. 6 days you work. The 7th day is a day of rest. Don't do any manner of work. Not you, your son, your daughter, your manservant, your cattle, or the ger who's within your gates. Nobody. There's no Shabbos goy in the Torah. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and blessed it. The 5th commandment, honor your father, your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which the Lord gives you. So the first 3 are about God. The second 2, the 4th and the 5th, are called chukim. They are commandments that we don't really know exactly why. They may not have logic for us, but God said do them. That they're for us. We need to rest so that we can live long, that our days may be long upon the earth. Here, to honor our parents. So we understand authority. The last 5 have to do with our neighbor. So the first 3, God, loving God with all your heart, your soul, your might. The second 2, love yourself, so that we could love our neighbor. So how do we treat our neighbor? We don't murder them. We don't steal their wives. We don't commit adultery. We don't steal from them. We don't bear false witness against them. And we don't gossip. And the last one, do not envy. Don't covet your neighbor's wife, his house. Don't covet his wife or his servants, male or female, or anything that he owns. Don't covet his Porsche or his fancy home or anything that is your neighbor's. Don't covet it. He makes it clear. So everything else that we see in the Torah is going to explain or refer to one of these 10. Here we see this man Korach. He's a big shot. He's a firstborn. He comes from Levi. The others are from Reuben, a firstborn. But wait a minute. Why aren't I getting this position of leadership? Who does Moses think he is? He's such a big shot. Moses never wanted it. It says he was the most humble man who ever lived on the face of the earth, and God spoke to him face to face. And here this man wants it not because he really wants to serve the people and lead them. He wants the position so he could say, look who I am. You could all serve me now. Isn't that politicians and religious leaders who really aren't called? There are people who are not called to the position, but they want it because of prestige. And that's what we need to be careful. Are we jealous of something that somebody else has? We don't really know. Like like today, I went to pick up my friend Charlotte, and I went, and she's living. I remember every time I would go to Mount Sinai to sing there, I would pass by this condo, these beautiful condos on Haywood, and I was always saying, wow, that is so beautiful. I wonder what they're like. I'd love to live there. But then I would remember, I don't know who's living in there. Are they happy? Do they have everything? I have everything that I need. I don't live in a fancy place, but I am so happy. And Pirkei Avot, the ethics of the Father, says, who is the man who is rich? But the one who is happy with what he has. And that's what this Korach is teaching us. Be careful when you do that, because this kind of envy will make you sick and you could die from that. It's not that God is going to strike us dead. He gave us those pictures so that we could see how we need to be as a community, how we need to treat our neighbor, how we need to treat the goyim, and not tell them that they are less than we are, but teach them what our God gave us, these commandments. It was a gift to our people. And today we have gone so far from this that our people are suffering. How many people...
Sorry, just not
Yes.
to tell the goyim that they have their own God.
Not to tell them...
That we have the same God.
Exactly.
And one God.
When we say that the Torah is just for the Jews and not for the Gentiles, that they can have their God, that the Creator, the one who created Israel, is only for us, but the Goyim can have a created God, Jesus Christ, or whatever, Buddha, or this God or that God. It's not what our God says. There's only one for all peoples. And if we just would do our job and live it, to live it. It's hard enough to live the 10 Commandments. Never mind all the other rules and regulations that our sages have put upon us that are not in the Torah. That's why it's so important. That's why my heart has been, after searching all my life through all these different religions, through the occult, through the New Age, through so many things, and coming back to the Torah. That's where my heart is right now, so that we can read it for what it's really saying. You know, it says that the secret things belong to us, belong to God, and what He has given us is for us to know so that we can obey and do them. That's what He wants. Let me see if I can find that verse for you, because it's a beautiful one. The secret things belong to God. Here, let me just find out where it is.
I think it's Deuteronomy 29:28.
Yes, that's exactly where it is, Miriam.
I'm always amazed by that verse.
It's true. Let's go to it, Deuteronomy 29. Let me share the screen so we can see what it says here. Deuteronomy is the last book, and Moses is knowing he's leaving. He's not going to be able to enter the promised land because of what he did, and we'll one of these days we'll get to that. But it says here, so now he's writing everything down, so we, his people, should know what we should do and what we shouldn't do. It says, and the generation to come, your children that shall rise after you, and the foreigner who shall come from a faraway land shall say, when they see the plagues of that land and the sickness with which the Lord has made it sick, and that the whole land is of brimstone and salt and burning, that it is not sown, nor does it bear, nor any grass that's growing, like the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah. Because God is going to be so angry with us one day. Even all the nations shall say, why has the Lord done this to this land, this promised land? What does it mean, the heat of his great anger? Then men shall say, because they forsook the covenant of the Lord, the God of their fathers, which he made with them when he brought them out of the land of Egypt. That's the 10 Commandments. That's the covenant. And they went and served other gods and worshipped them, gods that they did not know and that he had not allotted to them. How many of our people run after the Israeli army and they run to India and they come back? I have cousins. I did myself. I was involved with Hinduism and Leonard Cohen with Buddhism. And, we forget. Therefore, the anger of the Lord was kindled against this land, to bring upon it all the curse that is written in this book. And the Lord rooted them out from their land in anger. We were kicked out the first time to Babylon, and in wrath and in great indignation, and cast them into another land. Why do you think we're here? We're in Canada, from France, from Kiev, from Odessa, from Poland, from Spain. Because the secret things belong to the Lord our God, but the things that are revealed belong to us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words, of this HaTorah Hazot, this Torah. But how can we do them unless we know them? Right now, so many of the things we believe are hearsay. We hear the rabbis speak them. We hear other people speak them, but we're not reading it. And that's my desire, is to get us to go back and let's read. And let's come back to our God. Let's know that we can have a relationship like Moses had a relationship, like our prophets had a relationship, like Adam and Eve. He walked in the garden with them. They had one rule: don't eat of the fruit. They couldn't even keep the one. So he gave us 10. Can we keep the 10? It's not easy, but we need to do it. We need to do our best to do it and help others to do it, because then our lives will become enriched. And people would look at us and say, wow, how come you have this calm and this peace in the midst of all this mishigas that's going on in the world? And then we can say to them, you know why? Because I trust in my Creator. I know if he brought me out of the land of Egypt, if he brought our ancestors out, if he watched over us as the cloud by day and the fire by night, he will watch over us. And that's what I get from reading the Torah and from teaching it to others, so that we can spread out and do the same thing in our families, among our friends, so that we can maybe turn aside God's wrath and that he won't bring another Holocaust onto us. The world is going nuts. We have to do something about it and not put Band-Aids on all these different issues, but come back to the root, the 10 Commandments. That's what this is teaching me. Iris, what do you have to say? A New York Jew has always something to say. Don't tell me you have nothing to say. New Jer?
Yeah, okay. I got 3 minutes, but
Good.
you finish a little bit what you're doing more. Finish a little bit. What are you? You can continue after. So I have a 2-minute comment here.
Okay.
So the comment is, first of all, hello, Peggy. Thank you for accepting me a couple of minutes late. We won't count how many minutes. And Iris, and bonsoir, Terry. And Miriam. See, that's in the French accent. Now, the world is not going nuts. We're gone. Now,
We've gone nuts.
Yeah, as you said. Now, with the song in my heart, and I found the song that I was looking for last time, and I
Which
say,
one?
and this is my desire. The
Okay.
song is really, no, it's not that song. The song is the tune, and this is my beloved, and this is my beloved. You remember that one? You're shaking your head. So that's the song. So if you want to sing that a little bit, that's the one. I think Andy Williams sings that as well.
Okay.
And the other said Sweet Charlotte. So that's another one. That's Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte. You know that one, eh? You're talking about Charlotte.
No.
And then you are you serious?
No, I don't know it.
Oh, you're joking.
No, I don't know it.
Sweet Charlotte, don't you cry. Maybe Terry. I'm not good. I'm not good with the tune. Terry knows it. You know it for sure. It just slipped your mind for temporarily.
Okay.
And the other one, no. You. I'm sure you know that song. It's just not.
Maybe if I
with
heard
song.
it. Maybe. Okay.
Yeah, maybe Terry could sing it. I can't.
Oh, no.
And the other
I
one.
cannot sing. No way.
Try, but sing that. Just Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte, Terry.
No.
Hush Hush.
I've heard it. Yeah, I've heard it, but I don't. cannot
Miriam, do you know
Hush.
it?
sing.
No, hush,
No.
hush, sweet Charlotte, no.
No.
Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte.
Well,
Sweet
remember,
Charlotte.
Jerry, you're older than us.
Oh yeah, that's good. It's okay. I hope to continue to stay older.
Good.
I got good, eh? I got you one more. You said after searching so long. That's another song, eh? That's Matt Monroe made that famous. Walk away after searching so long, and at last I found you. Walk away after searching, and the name of the song is "Walk Away" by Matt Monroe. After searching so long, he tells this lady, "Walk away." Walk on, walk on, walk on. Because
Well,
you'll only be with her
that's
for
with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone.
alone.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's
So
when you
that's
walk,
you said.
I used to sing that all the time. My aunt, that was her favorite song. When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone. Alone. It's a little high for me, but it's beautiful.
Not sure if that's a second song with "Walk Alone."
Okay.
I'm not sure. That could be a second one. There could be two of them, as you may know. So that's
Okay.
that's what we said so far. So if you want to sing a song when you're ready, you mentioned the last time you might end with a song if you feel like it.
I just did.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Because I couldn't
I'm trying
think
to
of one.
squeeze.
I couldn't think of one.
I tried to squeeze out another one.
You were, eh? That's so funny.
So Terry, what's new?
Oh, nothing much. I'm fine, thank you, and I hope everyone is. I hope you are.
So I heard you're reading. So you read well.
Thank you.
I was
how's your French?
trying to get you to read too, Jerry, but every time I spoke to you, you didn't answer me, so I figured you couldn't hear.
Well, at the beginning, I was not on for quite a bit, and Iris, did Iris read? I don't remember hearing her read.
No, Iris didn't read. Last time did you want to read, Iris? Because I know last time you didn't want to, so I didn't. That's why I didn't push it.
No, it's fine.
And
Okay.
Miriam, I see, Miriam is coming up here, eh? She's quoting Deuteronomy 28.
I've transitioned into a lizard, so if you saw my eyes, it's really, really bad this year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Miriam's
but,
really suffering with the
I really
allergies.
don't like. I'm gonna look up something. Maybe there's something else I could put on my eyes.
Yeah. Anyway, I want to thank you all. If they have nothing else to say about this, I hope you've enjoyed the teaching
Yeah,
this
very
week.
good.
Very interesting.
And let's remember, whenever, if we feel at any moment any envy of what somebody else has, of what somebody else is doing and we're not, just remember God has given us all we need to do what He wants us to do. We don't have to be like anybody else or want something that we don't have. If we want it, we can get it. If we can't get it, don't want it. You know, it's just, it's a healthy way to live. Yes,
I have a corollary on that, whatever that means. I'm not even sure.
a corollary,
It's,
something to add to it. Okay.
Oh, you're very good, very good. So
I was good in geometry.
oh, you're good in geometry too. I see. I'm okay in math, but English and French were not my forte. Peggy with the English, and Miriam and the Irish, and Terry with the avec le français. Anyway,
Okay.
so what was I going to say?
The corollary.
We can be corollary. We can be inspired, if not envious, but we could, or we are allowed to be inspired. If someone is doing well and
Yes.
something, we could take inspiration and not them. Like if I
Yes,
see
that's
someone has a nice
different.
car, for example,
Be
I
happy
don't
for
want their
them.
car,
Yes.
right? But you could be inspired for yourself.
Yes. And
Like to follow a good example.
ascribe exactly. Be a good example. Exactly. Be happy for them, and then be happy for whatever we're called to do. And the
Yeah,
other
because
thing is about this scripture is sometimes we misquote people's words for our own use. Like when they said, "Didn't you bring us out of the land of milk and honey?" When they said they came from Egypt, and they say that was the land of milk and honey, when the promised land is the land of milk and honey. So there were quite a few things from this Korach. Next week we're going to talk about Pinchas.
oh yes,
Yes.
Pinchas. He was also from the. He's also within Aaron's group, eh?
Exactly. I think he was a Levite.
No. I think he was. Yeah, he was a Levite, but I think he was given the Kohanim afterwards because he was upholding something.
And
But I think he was
everlasting, yeah. The
but I think
everlasting
he was
Kehunat of Shalom.
okay.
Sorry.
We're not going to do that. We're not going to do it next week. This week, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But it's always something to look forward to.
So say something in French, Terry.
In French.
Quand il me prend dans ses bras, il me parlait tout bas, je vois la vie en rose. Il me dit des mots d'amour, des mots de tous les jours, et ça me fait quelque chose. Il est entré dans mon cœur, uni par du bonheur, dont je connais la cause. C'est lui pour moi, moi pour lui dans la vie. Il me l'a dit, la jouerai pour la vie. Et dès que je l'aperçois, alors je sens en moi mon cœur qui bat, la 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 vie en rose.
That's very good, Peggy. But you put your foot in it now, because now that I realize you have a good pronunciation, I may bug you with the French too a little bit. You said that you spoke very nicely when I asked the expert, Terry. Her pronunciation was pretty very well on that as
Oh,
well,
yeah.
eh?
Yes, Iris,
I-
you look like you want to say something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next week, I'm going to get my husband to sing with you.
Good.
Oh, that would be
He's a
nice.
singer.
Okay, will he come on and sing with us?
I can ask if he wants to Zoom with us. Yeah.
That would be wonderful.
That would be
What
great.
song would he like to do? Ask him to choose a song. I would be so happy if he did that.
You want some like a Jewish background song? A Jewish
Anything,
song?
whatever he feels like.
Well, you know what you did? You walk alone. He won it. He won an award for that song.
Wow.
Wow.
So,
He was the senior
Wow.
idol in Montreal.
wow, that's wonderful.
Oh,
Yeah.
that would be
Did he
fantastic.
sing with the Y Minstrels?
No, but he sang with the Yiddish theater.
Oh, with Yiddish theater. That's wonderful.
Look what's coming out of look what's coming up, eh? All these hidden talents and stuff.
Exactly.
You have to. Yeah, we're still waiting. We're still waiting for more from you, Terry.
Oh, nothing. Not anything.
But
Thank you.
Terry's a very good reader.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, fantastic!
Hey,
No,
Peggy.
I'm not saying she has less, Peggy. I'm just saying more. You know, I didn't say less. She's very, of course, she's. Anyhow, so
Yes,
that's good.
Iris.
I'm very excited with that, Iris, because as you glean from this evening as well, I happen to like music and dance.
Music touches the heart.
Music.
It soothes the savage beast. You were going to say something, Iris.
Yeah, I just want to say, my husband sang with the Shar Shemaim choir for 30 years.
Wow.
Wow.
He was their lead bass baritone.
Oh, that's beautiful.
He is. He was.
And then he
My
went
nephew,
on to heaven.
my nephew was there also for many years, Iris.
Who?
Jason
Oh,
of the
let's
same
see.
name.
Jason,
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, you knew him.
He's moving to Israel.
Yes, exactly. Oh, so you're very yes, he is. July the 20th or 30th.
Wow, Mazel Tov. A friend of mine says, how come if you believe so much in the Torah, why aren't you living in Israel? I said, I've been wanting to go to Israel since I was 12. I joined Young Judea, learned Hebrew, was getting ready, but it never happened. I don't know. I love it there. I don't know how to go by myself. If my kids moved to Israel, I would go. Yeah. One day we'll all be back in the land and nobody
Well,
will
you're
kick
needed.
us out.
Yeah, well, you're needed everywhere. Right now, you're needed here as well.
Yes.
Obviously.
Mind you, you could Zoom from Israel as well, eh?
Anywhere. Yeah. It's very hard to live in Israel. It's never been easy to live in the land. That's why people leave. It's not easy to live there. Anyway, thank you everybody. I'm so blessed that you've spent this time with me. It's so nice we had this time together.
Just to sing a song or say da-dee,
And
Oh, here he
da-dee,
is.
da-dee, 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 da-da-dee. Remember she got
yeah, to say good night. Good night, everybody.
night.
God,
Thank you.
God bless you and
Laila Tov.
Lila Tov.
Lila Tov. Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom. We'll see you again
Shabbat
soon.
shalom.